let's go ahead and get going here. As you'll see throughout these workshops, we do these weekly. We always have some folks joining us as we go along. But I want to welcome you and excited that you're here for the Aligned New Year workshop. These are generally we do an aligned habits workshop, but this is something we're doing to get folks really ready for the new year and to get you focused and free and ready to be clear on your intention for the new year. And we're also going to help you set up habits that align with your long-term vision for yourself and also to figure out exactly where you want to be at the end of 2026. So we're excited to get going. Now, as we do get going, there are a couple things I just want to make you aware of, and that is, feel free to share. This is meant to be productive for you and for you to get feedback and to share with each other. So please feel free to share. You can put things in the chat, or you can, raise your hand or come off mute and come on video and, share your thoughts. We're going to be doing exercises between each of the sections. So I'm going to give you an overview in just a minute of the four primary sections of today's workshop. But I really want to encourage you, feel free to share, and it helps you get the most out of it. Now, I just want you to take a moment as we get going and start getting the juices flowing here. Just take a few moments to reflect on your past year, on this past 2025, and write down 3 wins that you had this year. We want to measure your progress then this year and want to know, what are 3 wins that you had this year? Now, we know 2025 has been tough for lots of folks, and we all face different challenges. But first, we want to reflect on our wins. We want to reflect on the progress we have made. So before we really get going here, I want you to just start thinking and write down 3 wins that you had in 2025. And I am going to do the same as well. I usually like to do these journal prompts too, and it helps me. So go ahead and take, just maybe 2 minutes right now and write down 3 wins that you had in 2025. And by all means, if you want to write down more than 3, I was writing down my 3 and then realized I had a couple more that were big ones for this year. So feel free to go over 3. All right, and just take another, 30 seconds or so. All right. Now, like I said before, if you want to share in the chat, by all means, feel free to share in the chat. Uh, all right. If anyone wants to put anything in the chat, feel free to do so. Good job, Chad. No reason to be self-deprecating. You're doing awesome. Uh, yeah, for my three wins, I'll share. I started at the end of last year in December. I did a yoga teacher training. So I started actually teaching yin yoga and meditation to folks this year. That was one of my wins. Our, workshops, Inspiration Nation. We've started a new course this year. We've been engaging with the community that is a part of Inspiration Nation, the different workshops and courses and things that we do. I finished editing my book, Light in the Mirror, and I moved to Vermont this year. So a lot going on. A really big year of lots of transformation. So I know that as I end up doing my end of year journaling and preparation for next year, I certainly will have some more. But anyone want to share any of your wins? If you can put them in the chat. In university after a long struggle. That's great. Congratulations, Arsalan. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but congratulations on getting into university. And I hope that goes well, particularly after your struggles. So I wish you lots of luck in university. Wonder if you'll be starting in January or sometime later in the year, but lots of luck to you. I'm sure you're going to do great, and congratulations. Anyone else want to share a win or wins from this year? All right. Now we're going to move on to getting our intention set for this year. And then I'm going to talk to you about the overview of today's workshop. But before we do that, oh my gosh, Linda, absolutely wonderful news. Congratulations on getting through that cancer surgery, and wish you lots and lots of luck for healing this year. Lots of strength and love. As long as you believe you can heal, you will end up healing properly this year. So wishing you lots of luck, and congratulations on getting through that incredibly difficult life challenge. Having gone through that with my mother and other family members, I'm really happy for you and sending you lots of love. Um, Oh my gosh, that's so great, Arsalan. Absolutely wonderful. You can't give up. You got to keep going. And we're going to talk some later in today's workshop about resilience. So I'm so happy to hear that you didn't lose hope, and that you kept going. So that's absolutely wonderful. And yes, through the strength of higher power in the universe and God, Linda, it is absolutely wonderful that you're healed, and wish you lots of continued healing energy throughout the year. Um, that's absolutely great. Oh my gosh, an abduction through a ride share. Oh, you had quite the challenging year, didn't you? Linda, I guarantee 2026 is going to be better. It doesn't get much worse than battling cancer and going through an abduction, but I'm glad you escaped. How absolutely traumatic. So thank you for sharing that. That's incredibly challenging and personal to be able to share that, and vulnerable for sharing that with us. So that's why we love sharing here. It's really incredible how powerful the energy is that we create together through sharing both our challenges and our successes and our wins. Now, I want to lead you through, just to get fully present, I want to lead you through a short breath work. Just take a few minutes to quiet your mind, get into your body here and be fully present here. Meaning that I want you to be fully present, not on email or phone or social media or texting. Try to be fully present here. So what we want to do is we want to set our intention for the new year. And in order to do that, I want you to just be fully present here. So if you can, close your eyes or drop your gaze down low if closing your eyes isn't comfortable for you. Just take a moment to breathe. Focus on the breath. If you can, breathe through your nose. Feel the air coming in and going out. Eyes closed, and don't think about any particular thing. Just try to focus on the air coming in and going out through your nose. Just an inhale followed by an exhale. You may even want to just focus on your diaphragm or belly raising and lowering. Or maybe just feel the air coming in and out through your nostrils. Just maybe even the air at the base of your nose to the top of your lip, that little space where you can feel air coming in and going out. Take a few seconds to focus on your breath. Being fully present here, taking our time to set our intention for the new year. Your breath is always there for you to help you return to your body, return to being fully present, and letting any of the negative thoughts just go. All those things that keep us distracted, you just let them go and return to your breath. And when you're ready, we're going to take 3 deep breaths and we're going to exhale or sigh it out through our mouth. So we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose, take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it at the top and then sigh it out. We're going to do 2 more of those. So take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it at the top. Take little sips of air, as much air as you can into your belly. Hold it and then let it go. Sigh it out. And 1 more, last one. Deep breath in through your nose. Take in as much air as you can and hold it at the top. And then let it all go. And then just return to your normal breath. An exhale followed by an inhale. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Now with your eyes closed and returning to your breath, if you can, I want you to bring your hands to your heart center, your hands right in front of you, your thumbs touching your heart, right on your breastplate. And set your intention for the new year. What is it that you plan to bring into your life this year? Just be fully present. And what is it that you want to manifest and realize in 2026? Set your intention and then seal it in. Just returning to your normal breath. And once you've done that, start to bring some awareness back, maybe wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, or fluttering your eyes. Now that we've set our intention for the new year, for 2026, we want to review what we're going to cover today in the workshop so that you can make achieving your goals this year inevitable. Now, if you've struggled to stay consistent in the past, it's not that you're falling short in life. You've just been trying to force a version of success that wasn't aligned with who you truly are. Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to reset that and rebuild from your true self. So here's what we're going to cover today. First, why most goals fail. Second, how to set the right goals. Third, how to build supportive habits, meaning habits that help you and support you in achieving your goals. And lastly, how to get back up when life throws you off your routine. We're going to work on building resiliency as we get through life's challenges, which it sounds like a number of us have had this year. And you'll hear me talking about some of the things that I dealt with this year. But if you have a desire, I love this quote by Napoleon Hill. He said, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement." Not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything. So if you have a desire to make 2026 your best year ever and move past all that has held you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we're going to turn that desire today into action. We're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action that you can take today to live the life of your dreams. We're going to do this by aligning your dreams with your habits. So, how do I know this works? Because I've done this over the last 7 years. It took me a ton of trial and error and learning to get to a point where my big goals and daily habits are aligned so I can live the life of my dreams every day. And with 5 kids ranging from 4 to 17 and running 2 businesses, I have to be focused and disciplined to ensure that we can all live happily and live productive lives. And I'm going to save you the years worth of learning and research I did into personal development and achieving our goals and all the mistakes that I made in getting to this point so that you can become who you're meant to be, to live the life of your dreams now. Does that sound good? All right, come on, let's get going. And don't worry, this isn't hard. It just requires a system and a process that works for you. So first, we want to look backwards and understand why goals fail, like why we've had goals in the past that have failed or haven't quite gotten us to where we want to be. So at the beginning of this year of 2025, we held an inspiring 8-week course called Thrive in 25 to kick the year off right by implementing big goals. And we're actually going to do it again. But at the start of that course, I shared with the participants that less than 9% of adults achieve one New Year's goal, meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach 0 of them. It's so incredibly sad. And that's of the people who actually set goals. Think about all the people who don't set goals. So the number is more like 3% of people who actually achieve at least one New Year's goals. So as we add up there, some of the reasons that goals fail are first, an unclear vision, meaning you set some big goal, but it's not exactly clear. That vision's not clear. Second, external pressure or distractions. And nowadays, so many of us have so much thrown at us that a lot of it is external pressure and distractions. Now, third is unrealistic pace. So you might be clear on your vision and clear on your goal, but you've set a pace to achieve that goal that's just not achievable. I've suffered this one before. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And then the last one is a lack of identity alignment, meaning you're not aligned, your goals are not aligned with your true self. So we're going to address these today. And then we're going to give you a way to make it clear, set up a realistic pace, eliminate distractions, and also be completely aligned with your true self so that your goals are exactly who you're meant to be. They help you identify with your true self so it feels right and natural so that nothing can stop you. And I love this quote. As you're going to see, I like quotes a lot. Quotes have inspired me and kept me focused and are so poignant and powerful a lot of times to drive that point home. This is a great one. Robert Brault said, "We're kept from our goal, not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far away, but because we're distracted by what's right in front of us. These folks saw a sign that said, "Great view over this way." So instead of proceeding on to their goal to the summit, they went over and caught the great view. They were distracted by a sign and a shortcut to go look at the view. But these folks kept going. They didn't get distracted by the sign that said great view. They went to the best view. They kept climbing to the summit. They weren't distracted by that lesser goal. I'll give you an example. Does scrolling through the news or social media get you to your goal faster? No, it just fills your brain with the negative inputs of others. It wastes your time and takes your mind off of what matters most. Our addictions to the phone, alcohol, drugs, and the negative news stream keep us distracted from our goals. The distractions take us from what matters most, from our dreams and from our loved ones. Blaise Pascal, the famous French inventor and mathematician, put it this way. Blaise Pascal said, "Distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries." Distraction is the greatest of our miseries. We have a great workshop that we've started, and we're gonna talk, Arsalan, about how you can avoid distractions somewhat today. But we also have another great workshop that will probably introduce maybe mid-January after we do some more of these Align New Year's workshops and we start our new class, Thrive in 26, which is an 8-week course. But in that we have a focused and free workshop about breaking the distraction cycle. So we're definitely going to make that available. We'll provide you more information about that as well. It's similar to this, another hour and a half or so workshop that we do regularly. We just started it about a month ago and love doing it because we find distractions are just something that really keep people from their goals. And we all fall prey to them. So we've created lots of systems that help us keep us from those distractions. So look, even if you're not distracted by all the modern distractions of life, many of us are kept from our real goals by that clear path to lesser goals, meaning that sign that says, hey, just jump into this. Even if you're not distracted by all those distractions, the problem is that misaligned goals create confusion, anxiety, and burnout, meaning those small goals that distract you from your big goals. They aren't aligned with your true self, and it creates confusion, anxiety, and burnout. This is why so many seemingly successful people are not happy. They may be achieving professional or monetary or work success, but they're just accomplishing small daily tasks. Inside, they're unhappy because they're not aligned with they're not aligning their daily habits with their big goals. And that creates confusion and leads to burnout. You go one way when your true self knows you need to go another way. And that creates anxiety and confusion, meaning you know what your purpose in life is, but you're not executing on it. You're getting distracted, and it creates anxiety because you're not living as your true self. But clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. Clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. So today we're going to get real clear on what we want, what our purpose in life is, what your true self is meant to do. We're going to get clear on our goals, and we're going to get clear on our daily habits so that achieving your goals is inevitable. Now, another reason that goals fail, even if they are clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. So we all have a still small voice inside that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life, that nudges us to our personal and professional dreams and clamors for love, happiness, and success. I want you to give a megaphone to that still small voice within. This is your true self and your higher power directing you where to go. When you listen to your inner voice and your higher power, you are aligned and living on purpose. When you are clear on your goals and they are aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. And this alignment brings excitement and confidence to every single day as you move towards your goals. So now that we've talked about some of the reasons that goals fail, I want to ask you, and this is where I said, grab your pen, piece of paper, a journal, something to write on, and think of a goal or a resolution that you set in the past but didn't reach. And this is just give, maybe 2 minutes or so. I want you to actually take some time to think here. And just like we did initially, just take a moment, 2 minutes or so, think of a goal or a resolution that you set in the past but didn't reach. What do you think got in the way? So take just a moment to journal that, and you can share if you'd like to share, but think of a goal or a resolution you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? And keep in mind, some of those we talked about are, an unclear vision, maybe distractions or external pressures on your goal. And maybe it was an unrealistic pace. But also, maybe it wasn't aligned with your true self. Maybe it wasn't really aligned with your true purpose. So just think of that goal or resolution you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? Okay. Now, take just another few seconds here. Thank you so much for sharing those. Arsalan, it's tough with a language. Um, but that feeling that you had with the first week, you want to keep going. And we're going to provide tools for making goals, turning those into habits and daily habits, particularly something like language that can keep you going, or even work goals. Um, I think that habit goes, the same for you, Chad, as well. Um, not to stop when you hit that plateau. And when you make your goals, you turn those into habits, you can continue to improve if that is something that's a skill you're trying to learn or get better at. Um, Now, Linda, if you're talking about, a big life goal, and not being able to earn a sustainable living, there are definitely things that you can put in place. And you don't want to abandon your fun loving life goal because that's aligned with your true self. And there are definitely ways you can turn a fun loving life goal into a living. People have done it day in and day out, and there's no reason that you can't as well. Now, it might take a little bit of a transition period, but you don't want to give up on that because obviously that is aligned with your true self. And I would think after going through, the challenges that you have, that um, that you've learned how important it is to do the things that matter most. So I would encourage you to, in 2026, unabashedly try to go forward for that fun loving life goal and figure out a way. There's always a way to earn money doing it. And I'm happy, I'll happy to help, coach you on some of that as well. And I think I'll put in my my email address right here. You can email me directly. We can set up a time to talk. Happy to help walk you through that. But some of the tools today are going to help you with that as well. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Arsalan, you can definitely learn German. And I think you'll really like the habit tracker that we're going to introduce you to, and how you set those goals. So that should help a lot. And yeah, I mean, I think you'll see in the habits, I think that addresses each of the concerns. Now, if anyone else wants to share, feel free to do so. But we're going to start going into the next part of how you can make your resolutions and goals stick this year. So first, we want to start in the next section about aligning your goals with your true self so that this is the way forward. So instead of just picking goals, which some of those are great goals, but generally, if we start with a goal that is aligned with our true self, it's a lot easier to achieve it. So we're going to talk about setting goals, but we're going to talk about setting big, expansive goals, ones that excite you, and aligning your goals with your true self. And that way you're set up for success. You won't give up as easily because it's truly aligned with who you're meant to be. And Linda, certainly, your big, fun-loving life goal, I would think that aligns with your true self. It sounds like that's very much, who you want to be and accomplishing purpose in life. So, you know, we're going to be talking a lot about habits today. Excuse me. And it is good to have good habits, but where are they getting you? Are they aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? If you want clarity in your life, then you need to know where you're headed and why. You need to set big goals and you need to make them really big Meaning, where do you want to be in 10 years or in 20 years? And don't worry about where you are right now. It doesn't really matter if you're 30 or 50 or 70 or even 90. There is no end to what you can achieve at any age and at any point in life. But you have to think bigger. My dad's 82, and he's a pediatric radiologist. He's, treats sick kids and has, for many, many decades at St. Jude and Le Bonheur Children's Hospital. Um, and he's 82. He still practices medicine 6 days a week and goes to the hospital. And I was talking with him the other day, and he's talking about somehow he's still working at the hospital 6 days a week, and he's in great health and great shape and fully mentally there. And he's talking about what to do next, as though he retires. And I'm like, you could live for another 20 or 30 years. People live so long now. So it's crazy. At 82, we're sitting there working on setting his big goals. And what are your big inspired goals? What seems outrageous to others, but in your heart is what you need to do? I think you were alluding to that, Linda. That's your North Star. This is the direction you need to head. And, you don't need to frame that from where you are today. Nothing should seem impossible. Anything is achievable. I'll give you the example why that's the case, why you need to think big. Question: are you the same person you are today that you were 10 years ago? No, of course not. But yet we set goals and plans as though we will be ourselves, but just a little older. But that's not the case. You'll be a totally different person in 10 years. I know for me, I'm 51. 10 years ago at 41, life has completely changed for me over the last 10 years. But yet, when people set goals, it's like they think they're just going to be themselves, but a little bit older. But when you look back, you realize how much you've changed or evolved over 10 years or 20 years. So when you set goals, you got to make them really, really big because you're not going to be that same person. Now, there's a concept called prospection. And prospection is the ability to mentally represent and evaluate possible futures. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes planning and imagining future scenarios. And when we envision future scenarios, we limit ourselves to what we know now. But there are no limits. Our goal in this workshop is to open our minds to think without limits. So things change dramatically. I guess Arsalan, you'll turn 19 on January. Hey, it's almost your birthday. That's great. It should be an exciting year for lots of stuff to plan for 2026. It sounds like you're on the right path as well. But, in the summer of 2019, I had a complete awakening. I decided I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Back then as a young lawyer and, parent, and then I became a clean energy entrepreneur, running a solar company for many years, which I still do. But I was just on this hamster wheel in life. I had overcome challenges like multiple sclerosis and losing my mom to leukemia while I was in college, and MS when I was in law school, and I kept going as a young lawyer. But I was just on this hamster wheel, going through the motions, doing what I thought I was supposed to do. But in 2018, I had this complete awakening and decided I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decided to work on improving myself and to start listening and growing again. Now, I wanted to find out why I wasn't achieving my big goals, why I would look in the mirror and not see the person that I wanted to be, why I would look in the mirror with disappointment and self-criticism. So I've done intense study on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. And this 7-year journey, it's been absolutely extraordinary and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and personal, professional, and spiritual growth. And once I saw the light in the mirror, it dawned on me. I'm meant to inspire others. That's what my true self is meant to do. And that's what that still small voice inside has been telling me for decades. Because living as a lawyer and then clean energy entrepreneur isn't living as my true self. I'm not making enough impact every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my true calling. What is your true calling? In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams, which you can do today and in 2026 by living as your true self. You can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. You don't want to just go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. We're here to set big goals for 2026 and then create a clear path to achieve those goals, followed by the habits that will make your future come to life. That's how we're going to thrive in 2026. You want to be bold and be specific. Be bold and be specific. I don't know if you ever heard of Jim Collins. He's the famed business strategist and author of the seminal business book, Good to Great. Now, in that, Jim Collins said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. We're all so scattered nowadays, stuck on the phone, computer, and all the distractions in life. And like Arsalan said, feeling, emotionally detached because we're not living as our true selves. And a lot of us have felt that way. You're not alone in that. But this year, we're going to set no more than 3 big goals because we're all so scattered trying to do everything well that we give everything our partial attention. So if you want to thrive in 26 and achieve big goals, you have to limit your focus and say no to a lot more. You have to be focused and free. Now, the true self system that we created, that we're going to introduce you to today, it helps you refine your goals and then set daily habits that will help make realizing those goals inevitable. So here's what I do. And I'm going to walk you through this. And we also have lots of different resources and worksheets and things to help you work through this. So first, I envision a future version of myself 3 years in the future who is happier, kinder, and wiser than I am now. Now, I meditate on meeting that person. I imagine spending time with them, my future self, my true self, who I'm meant to be 3 years from now. I then journal about that. And I also do another exercise, which is I write a letter from my future self to my current self. I have one, it's sitting on my desk right over there that I wrote a couple years ago. I go back and read it regularly. And that letter from my future self 3 years from now to my current self, it's filled with grace and encouragement and pride and, giving me a push to not give up and recognizing how far I've come. I choose 3 years out because it's far enough for substantial change to occur, but not so far that you can't clearly imagine it. I then imagine meeting myself again, but only 1 year from now. We're going to do this in a little bit. I'm going to guide you through this. And that's on my way to my big future. So we're going to envision ourselves at the end of 2026. After I've done that and that vision is clear, I then fill out my True Goals worksheet according to that vision, which breaks out your goals down from big ideas to tiny steps that you can accomplish every single day, your habits. Now, I post my goals at my desk and on the mirror in my bathroom, both at home and at work. And we're going to share this True Goals worksheet that you see there. We're going to share that with you when you get the recap. So we're going to give you, don't worry about, I should have said this earlier, don't worry about taking copious notes. We're going to share the recording from today's workshop as well as the True Goals worksheet, the habitually inspired habit tracker. I think we'll probably also send out our epic daily ritual. And it looks like we posted there the True Goals worksheet as well. So we're going to share all these resources with you. But you want to make your goals big and simple. And we're going to work through this in just a little bit as well. You want to take away all the nonsense that wastes your day. You want to get rid of the distractions and focus in on your goals. You want to get ready to climb higher than you ever have in 2026 because it's your time to thrive. Now, just as I was mentioning, I want to lead you through uh, this visualization. So we're going to do this in two steps today. So, like I mentioned, first, as we started with at the beginning of this workshop with grounding, I want you to take a moment here. We're going to do this probably for about 3 minutes or so, maybe a little more. And I encourage you to do this for longer periods of time after today's workshop. But I want you to, find yourself in a comfortable, seated position or, wherever you are, just close your eyes, breathe deeply, return to your natural breath, breathing in and out through your nose, being fully present. Eyes closed, or maybe just your gaze down low if closing your eyes isn't comfortable for you. And imagine if today, on the other side of this Zoom, is yourself 3 years in the future. It's not that close, but it's not that far. Imagine you're meeting your future self. Go to your happy place or your power place. That place where you feel truly alive, whether that's at the beach or the mountains, or maybe just in your backyard, someplace that you find peace and strength. Imagine meeting your future self there, yourself 3 years from now. How do they appear? What wisdom do they have to share with you? Imagine that alive, happy, successful, confident, powerful version of yourself 3 years from now, vibrant and full of life. Spend a few minutes with them. Ask them questions. Ask them what they've accomplished. Notice how they carry themselves, how they dress, what they're doing. It's you, but it's the future version of yourself. It's your true self. It's who you're meant to be. So give yourself maybe 3 or 4 minutes right now and go meet your future self 3 years from now. All right, let's go ahead and bring some presents back here. Hopefully, you enjoyed meeting that future version of yourself. And we're now going to get ready for the new year. So now that you've met this future version of yourself, and hopefully, and I really, again, I encourage you to do this for 15 minutes to 30 minutes after today's workshop, but we don't necessarily have the time to do that on here. I want you to really sit quietly and, meditate and envision meeting your future self because there's lots of wisdom to be shared when you listen to your true self and who you're meant to be. People ask what their purpose in life is. If you listen, you'll discover your purpose. Now, I want to lead you through an exercise. We'll take just another 2 or 3 minutes to do this. Um, and that is, I want you to imagine yourself at the end of 2026. This is how we're going to set ourselves up for a very successful year. And then we're going to start working on setting goals and habits that align with this vision of yourself. Now, I want you to do the same thing, but this time, I want you to close your eyes and imagine meeting yourself at the end of 2026. Imagine your life at the end of 2026. Where are you? Meaning, where are you in life? What have you accomplished in 2026? How are you different at the end of next year than you are today? When we're talking together on December 30th of 2026, how far have you come? So now take, 2 or 3 minutes and envision yourself at the end of 2026, 1 year from now. What have you accomplished this year over the next year? How are you different at the end of 2026 than you are today? What are you bringing to the world over the next year? Picture yourself at the end of 2026. We're going to take just 3 minutes here. Okay. Now, now that you've just take a couple more seconds here, maybe 30 more seconds. All right. So let's go ahead and get back. And again, I really encourage you to take these exercises to the next step. And after the workshop today, before the first of the year, take, 30 minutes or so, at least 15 minutes per, envisioning yourself 3 years from now, as well as at the end of the year, and then really journal extensively about that. Now, on journaling, you to take just a moment here and pull out your pen and piece of paper, your journal or notebook, and write, what did your future self show you? What are up to three big goals that align with your true self? And let's just set these for 2026. You want to set big long-term goals based on that long-term vision of yourself, but we're really focused this year on being successful in 2026. So I want you to set, what are three goals, three big goals that align with your true self that you can accomplish in 2026? And don't make them small. We've talked about setting big goals that can transform your life. Don't worry if it seems unrealistic. You can make major progress. We're going to talk later about how we set big goals, and even if we don't quite get there, we're much further ahead than we would have been otherwise. What are three big goals that align with your true self that you just met? Again, take just about 2 minutes and work on your goals here. And like we said, if you have more than three goals, you have none. So just set no more than three big goals that align with your true self. All right. Now, if you do want to share any of your goals, by all means, you can do so in the chat. But I do encourage you to work on the True Goals worksheet that we provided there, and we're also going to be sending you with today's workshop. Now, that version of you that you just met, confident, calm, and clear, at the end of 2026 and 3 years from now, it's not that far away. But they do live on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. And the truth is, you don't just think your way into becoming your true self. You have to experience your way into it, which is exactly why your habits are so important. They're how you make sure that you're living as your true self each day. And we're about to get into those habits that'll help you achieve your goals. Becoming your true self and living your life on purpose can take years or even decades. And sadly, most people never even get there. Aligned habits shape your identity over time, which is why we created the True Self Project, which is a 30-day habit challenge, which we're going to tell you about later. But we also created Thrive in 26, an 8-week course. And through the 1-month experience of the True Self Project, each day for 30 days, you're immersed in actions that will help you make a habit of living as your true self so that you can live as your true self in just 1 month instead of taking a lifetime. So we'll talk more about that at the end. We'll talk more about the course, but just know it's real and it's coming very soon. You don't have to wait a lifetime to discover your purpose and live as your true self. So now we want to talk about building habits that reinforce your true self. Now we're going to turn your vision of your true self into repeatable, grounded action. Your habits, which are your daily practices it's practicing daily to become your true self. You know, that person that you envisioned in 3 years. Your habits are the daily practice to help you become that person. Now, when I began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 7 years ago, it felt difficult and awkward at first, but I stuck with it and it became natural and heartfelt and habitual. And now it's a part of my daily life. Habits, both good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows I've had my bad habits, like smoking earlier in life or using weed and staying up too late. Those are all habits. And it took me a lot later in life to break those than I would have expected. But it's a lot easier to break bad habits when you have good habits and positive reinforcement to replace them. In the words of Aristotle, this quote that hangs right behind me, behind my desk, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Positive habits are the key to making your dreams and your goals real. To get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. There's a saying, you can't improve what you don't measure. Measure and track that which you want to improve. Don't wait for the future to happen. You want to start being that person you're meant to be now. We're not just planning our future self and then hoping that we get there someday. You don't want to wait for your future to happen. You want to start being that person you're meant to be today. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult. You want to make it simple. The habitually inspired habit tracker that we created is a simple way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. Here are the habits that I'm currently tracking. So I have on here, and this was from August. I modify this a little bit month to month, but sleep by 5, sleep by 10, meaning 10 o'clock at night, wake by 5 a.m. next morning, meditate, journal, 1 hour of flow or 90 minutes of flow on my top priority, and then read a spiritual book, read the Tao Te Ching. I have those things on there because I was working on my next book, Habitually Inspired. And then 30 to 60 minutes of quality content, meaning consume quality content, whether that's a book, inspirational video, maybe listening to a book or positive content, things that inspire me and help improve my life. Meaning not consuming social media or junk or videos that are just entertaining. Quality content that inspires you to be your best. Then I have on there exercise and yoga, move my body. And lastly, PM journal or my evening journal, where I journal my wins for the day, how I want to show up the next day, as well as my big 3 priorities for the next day. And then I send those to my accountability partner. So those are what I'm working on now. And the chart's broken out by week. You just write down the habits that you want to work on, maybe practice regularly, or improve that help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. Those things that improve your mindset, your body, and your spirit. Maybe you want to track progress on a work goal or a financial goal or a fitness goal. I lost over 30 pounds from tracking my intermittent fasting. For now, let's just focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. Try to make those habits that will help you achieve your three big goals that you just set. Now, they don't necessarily have to just be related to your goals, but the habits that help you become the type of person that will achieve those goals. The habit tracker is a great way to do this on paper or even digitally. But if you do it digitally, don't look at your phone for the first hour of the day. Focus your first hour on your day on concentrating on yourself first, not responding to the inputs of others. Now, I've been tracking my daily habits for almost 6 years now. We are what we repeatedly do. It changes slightly from quarter to quarter or month to month based on what I'm working on or trying to improve. For example, I used to wake up and meditate, but last year when I was working on my first book, The Light in the Mirror, which will be out in a couple months, I added right from 5:30 to 7 as my first activity of the day when there are no disruptions and my brain is in the right state. That one habit helped me hit my goal of writing my book in just 6 months because I did it every day and I tracked it. I made the commitment to myself and I hit my goal. Now, do I get to every single habit every single day? Sadly, no. I said I have 5 kids. Life gets in the way and I miss one or two or more of my habits. But on the days when I'm at my best, I hit them all. And those days become more frequent the longer I track my habits. I make time for them. I make sure I do these like my life depended on it. And you know what? My future self does depend on it. I can't reach my goals if I'm not doing these habits. So as I go along, I have more days that I'm at my best and I hit them all more often. That which is being measured is actually improving. But you want to track what works for you. You want to look at your goals you're setting and then see what you need to do to hit those goals and make those areas your daily habits. What does that person you dreamt of being do each day? You journaled about that vision of yourself in 3 years or at the end of next year. What does your future self do each day that you aren't doing now? Pick those things and be that person by practicing each day. And you'll quickly become that person. You will become your true self. My life is improving each day because I'm tracking that which matters most to me. And I'm holding myself accountable by tracking it. I'm living as my true self. And for many years, I was not. You want to start living like, dressing like, and being that person you envision. It's you, but different. It's the person you're meant to be. And you'll start becoming that person. A few years ago when I envisioned my future self, I envisioned myself even, it was a beautiful meditation I had, and I envisioned my future self and where I wanted to be 10 years from now. And then I started implementing steps to be that person. And then I did the visualization for 3 years from now. And that future self, it was me, but different. He even dressed a little bit differently. I used to wear suits all the time pre-COVID. And, I was a lawyer and then an energy executive. And, now I feel like I look ridiculous wearing, these suits and ties I wore every day. It's not me anymore. I started dressing like that person I envisioned. I started doing the things that person would do. And I started to become my future self. Who do you want to become? And are you fired up to become that person? Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Earlier people were talking about resolutions or goals that had not worked out. Now, motivation gets you started. People had mentioned, a week or getting to a certain point and starting to plateau or working on a goal and not hitting it. Motivation may get you started, but it's the habit that keeps you going. We're here to live aligned, to set big goals that energize us for the future. But this time, we're going to accomplish those goals because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. So now, again, I want you to pull out a piece of paper and your journal or your pen and piece of paper or journal, and I want you to write down, What are 5 to 10 habits that will help you achieve your big goals you wrote out earlier? So just a little while ago at the last end of the last section, we journaled what are 3 goals that align with your true self that you envision at the end of 2026 or even at the end of uh, 2028 if we're setting 3 year goals. What are 5 to 10 habits that will help you achieve those goals or to live as that version of your true self? Take just 2 or 3 minutes and journal those. And also, I do want to point out, I said it before, but that habitually inspired habit tracker that we created, we're going to be sending that to you with the recording of today's workshop as well. So you'll be getting that soon too. Take just a couple minutes here and journal some 5 to 10 habits that you can put in place for 2026 that are going to help you achieve your big goals. And maybe they don't necessarily align specifically with your goals, but they align with the person who can achieve those goals, with your true self. And again, we'll just take a couple minutes and journal that. All right, just take 30 seconds or so more. Now, once we set goals, we've envisioned our true self and our purpose and started to set big goals that align with our true self. And then we've moved to implementing habits that will help making achieving those goals inevitable so that we have a path towards your goals. And you'll see on the habitually inspired habit tracker that we have, long term, we have annual, quarterly, and monthly goals. We're creating a path to help you achieve your true self, to live as that longer term version of yourself, but to start doing it more quickly. Now, there is an issue that we need to address that we started with, and that was, we've had resolutions and goals in the past, but they haven't worked out. And things have gotten in the way that have kept us from hitting those goals. Now, yes, it's a clear path when we create, a long-term vision for ourselves, annual, quarterly, and monthly goals, and then habits to help you achieve those goals and live as the person who can achieve those goals. But what about overcoming setbacks and building resilience? So in this last section here, We want to make it so that nothing can stop you from achieving your goals and living as your true self. When you set aligned goals and build the habits to match, you're not just chasing results, you're becoming someone new. But stuff gets in the way. Life comes up and roadblocks keep us from getting to our goals. But we want to make sure that you can get back up even when life knocks you off. Now, I want to offer just a quick story. And I mean, I've had lots of different challenges throughout life that I've overcome, but the most recent I just wanted to tell you about. And, you know, this is some of this is funny and some of it's tough, but um, it was this year in 2025, and it was Memorial Day weekend. And my wife and I were at a kids' party, and my wife was dancing on the dance floor with friends of ours and me too. And she ruptured her Achilles. And no joke, my wife was dancing to the Kesha and Pitbull song Timber. You know it's going down. It'll be the night we won't remember. Um, we're yelling timber. Well, we do remember. She ruptured her Achilles, and no joke, she was dancing with our friend who's an orthopedic surgeon. So as he and I helped her over the chair, he felt the back of her ankle and said, "Yeah, you ruptured your Achilles." Um, so so it was a night that we obviously remember. And here's what happened next. So I was very clear on my goals. I was working with my editor on getting through my book, Light in the Mirror. And I was very clear on my goals for 2025, a lot of the things we discussed today and that we talk about in the um, in the True Self Project or in the Thrive in 26 course. I had in place at the beginning of 2025. I was, executing on my goals for 2025, and we're almost halfway through at the end of May, and I'm getting ready to close strong in June. Well, everything came to a screeching halt. With 5 kids, all of a sudden I was caring for my wife and I was caring for our 5 kids. My wife had surgery a couple weeks later. She was bedridden for almost 6 weeks. And I was packing every lunch, tucking everyone in, transporting everyone where they needed to be. I was down a partner and also taking care of my partner. And I actually pulled up to school one day to drop the kids off. It was the last week of school, second to last day of school. And my then 3-year-old, Gloria, I look at her, everyone else is getting out of the car, and I'm like, "Where are your shoes?" And I had forgotten her shoes. And so she, uh, I took her over to Target, grabbed her some sandals, brought her back to school, and I go to walk her in, and she's like, "Why can't you drop me off where we normally drop off?" And I said, "Because I forgot your shoes, sweetie." And she said, "Well, I forgot my shoes too, Daddy." And it like absolutely stopped me in my tracks at how sweet it was. But I was also supposed to have a work call at 8:30, and so it ended up, I was all frazzled and running around. But that moment made me stop and think about what matters most. And no matter what happens, whether it's the cancer diagnosis, Linda, and getting through surgery, or dealing with rejection or other challenges or health problems. When you take a risk and you listen to your inner voice and you pursue a path, it's not about whether you get to the end goal. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process. When you set big, audacious goals, even if you fall short, you're much further ahead. You end up much further ahead than you were before. So, look, tracking your habits isn't a test. You're not competing against others. You're keeping track so that you can improve. And some weeks won't be as strong as others. Yet, if you want to live in bliss, then keep tracking and keep improving. It's not always perfect, but the more you work at it and trust your true self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self. No matter how busy you are and what negativity impacts your life, you're never too busy or distracted to take just 2 seconds to look yourself in the mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. You got to keep going, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. When a good analogy is your computer. When your computer or even, your phone isn't working properly, you reboot. When things aren't going well and you're off your game, reboot yourself. You do this by going back to your goals and your habits, and then you begin again. Even if it's been a few weeks or a few months and you forgot about your goals and your habits, you have them there. Do the work now. Do the True Goals worksheet. Do the Aligned Habits worksheet and start doing those. And that way, if you fall off, you know exactly where to pick right back up. It brings you back to accelerating towards your big goals. Your habits keep you going and help you get back to who you're meant to be. When a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day knocks you off track, you get back to tracking your habits and you find your alignment with yourself again. It's kind of like the sun. The sun is always there, but some days it's obscured by the clouds. But the next day, it's sunny again. You get back to your habits, even if you miss a couple days. You're not losing if you don't get it done. Instead, you're setting yourself up for success. You know exactly where to go if you fall off. You just stop, begin again, and reboot. Now, we've gone through most of the things we're going to cover today. There's a little bit more I want to share with you. But before we do that, take a moment just to journal. What's one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? What's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? And take just a moment to journal that. And feel free to put those in the chat. If you do want to share what's one commitment, maybe it's working on your habit tracker. Maybe it's doing the visualization exercise, which we'll talk a little bit more in just a couple minutes. Homework. What's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? So once you got that down, and feel free to share that in the chat if you'd like, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. And that is an I am statement for 2026. In 2026, I am. Make it so that you can refer back to this. And it doesn't have to just be one word, it could be a statement. For mine, I have, in 2026, I am an inspirational speaker. I'm a spiritual leader. I'm a best-selling author. I'm inspiring people to live the life of their dreams. I'm a loving husband and father. And you can do these after this workshop, but what's your I am statement for 2026? In 2026, I am what? You envisioned your true self at the end of 2026. You've seen what you've accomplished at the end of 2026. You've set your intention for the year. In 2026, I am what? Finish that statement. I'll give you just a moment to do that, and then we'll proceed to close. And again, if you want to share any of these, feel free to share in the chat, or come on camera and take your mic off mute. All right, now it's time to launch. It's time to climb into the shuttle on the launch pad and skyrocket into space. I love that, Linda. Yes, we definitely need to declutter. That's a great time at the beginning of the year to do that now. And we will help you with those small steps. And speaking of small steps, you want to start taking those steps to climb up into the rocket ship to launch into space. Look, staring at the stars is inspiring, but it won't make you an astronaut. It's time to launch. And the voyage only begins, though, with the decision to climb aboard and soar to your destination. It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person that you saw in your mind's eye, and it seems like it's either impossible or it's taken forever to get there. But it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. And yes, things come up that get in the way, but you can either continue to go through the motions at work or make your motions work. You can stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stay at that same painful job or create the career you want. You can stare at the phone or you can play with your kids. You can busy yourself on social media, or you can make real progress on your big goal. You can sing the song you're meant to sing, or you can keep it bottled inside. These are all choices. And yeah, some of these are tough choices, but they're yours and yours alone to make. I love this quote by Elizabeth Appel about becoming who you're meant to be. And she said, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." So beautiful. Your life is only created by you. And we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of happiness and bliss by deciding to do so. But staying tight in your bud is far more painful than the risk it will take for you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you're meant to be. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to be? The life that you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life habitually inspired. You're capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Don't play small. Don't settle. You know what you're capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper. That's part of the reason we were thinking, meditating, and writing so much today. You got to get it out of your head, down on paper, and then take action every single day, every morning to get you closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter all that much. As Les Brown put it so powerfully, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Don't aim for these low targets in life, accomplished by menial tasks, by just sending emails, by texting, being on social media. Aim high. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and start what was recommended here today, you will find true freedom and happiness. So you can make excuses or you can awake with intention. Look yourself in the mirror and say, "I love you." Forgive yourself for any past missteps. Let go of all the things that have held you back, and then implement the steps prescribed today to return to your true self and be the person you are meant to be. The journey isn't always smooth. I know that, which is why we talked about building resilience. Roadblocks always pop up unexpectedly. But the tools provided today help make the journey smoother and get you around those roadblocks faster. Those that love you will be there for you. I love you and will be there for you on your journey. I'm always happy to help, and I want to help guide you up that mountain to climb to meet your true self. So as your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, simply say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. Walk into the bathroom, step in front of that mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out into the world. The world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awake with intention, with your goals clear and your aligned habit, where your habits aligned with your goals, put down the phone, turn off the negative news, and just listen to your still small voice inside. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear. But don't wait. Turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to live the life of your dreams, to be the person you're meant to be, to live your life of love, happiness, and bliss. That's my wish for you for 2026. And what you've learned today is a solid foundation for living as your true self. But truly living focused and free takes practice and consistency. So in the next couple days, we're going to be releasing the True Self Project, which is a 30-day habit challenge. It's just 30 days. It's a 30-day on-demand course where you can turn the lessons that you learned today into a daily practice and start living confidently, undistracted as your true self in only a month, rather than the years that it took me. I've been so inspired by all this that I want to share it with as many people as possible. And we just finished up this True Self project. We're very excited. It's the first time we've launched it. We spent all summer and fall recording it and doing helpful journal prompts and exercises. And it's really powerful and meaningful and can help transform your life the way that it did for me. It's only $30, and I think if you use this discount code here, you can use it with QR code, you get $5 off. So it's only $25. It's less than $1 a day for powerful transformation and alignment. So you can pre-order that course now. It'll be up in a couple days, and you'll be invited as soon as it's available. And if you do sign up today, we're doing something we haven't done before, which is offering free one-on-one coaching session with me sometime during the course while you're doing that 30-day course. So excited to hopefully meet you in person, meaning on a video call to do a live coaching session. And a couple things that I also want to make you aware of right now is that we're also going to be starting community meetings starting January 9th. To help you thrive in 26. And these are open to anyone like the workshop. They're free. We're going to be sort of summarizing. They're going to be on Fridays. We're going to be summarizing, what we've gone through that week, sharing some of our wins, as well as what we're looking forward to for the next week and planning for the next week. And it's a way of helping keep all of us on track and being in a helpful, supportive community of like-minded individuals who are focused on achieving their big goals in 2026. Now, you heard me mention at the beginning of 2025, we did a course called Thrive in 25. It rhymes so nicely that we kept it, although it doesn't rhyme with 26. We are doing our Thrive in 26, which is an 8-week habit challenge course. And in that, it is live coaching. It's a weekly course for 8 weeks. So I'll be doing live coaching. It's about an hour and a half, in-depth lessons each week. A lot of the things we discussed today, we go in much greater depth, as well as some other things. And it creates a system, structure, and accountability for making 2026 your best year ever. So you can check that out there. And that's starting on January 8th. So we're very excited about these new offerings coming up for this year. And hope that you can join us for some of those. I think we put those links in the chat there to both Thrive in 26 and the True Self Project. Now, we have a little bit of homework today. So a little bit of homework from what you've done so far. And I know I mentioned it before, but I want you to take 15 minutes and imagine meeting yourself, either 10 years or 3 years in the future, like you did earlier, but we only did that for like 3 minutes. I want you to do a longer meditation where you're meeting yourself in the future. And I want you to go back and journal about that experience. It's going to help guide you. And it's very clear in setting up your purpose and who you're meant to be in this world. And you can get wisdom from your future self. So I want you to take some time and then journal about that. So we have some of the journal prompts there. How did you look? How did you carry yourself? What have you accomplished? What wisdom do you have to share? And then also do that exercise I mentioned earlier, which is to write a letter from your future self to yourself today, that person that you met earlier. And I want you to really value that exercise. Like I said, I have my letter sitting here. I wrote to myself from a couple years ago, and I refer to it regularly. So if you enjoyed the work that we did here today in the workshop, follow us on social media. We're always posting, new videos, new courses, new workshops. So follow us on social media, and I think we're going to put that up. You can follow us on YouTube, or we actually have a new YouTube channel. I think we put that up earlier as well. And like I said, you can email me if you want any feedback or any support at ben@benparvey.com. Happy to stay on if anyone has any questions. Happy to answer any questions on your goal setting for 2026 and setting up your habits with your goals. Anyone have any questions? And feel free, again, you can email me if you want any questions or feedback as you're working through your True Goals worksheet or your Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker. All right, well, that concludes our workshop for today. I wish you lots of happiness, peace, and prosperity in 2026. If you need any support, by all means, email me, and love to see you and hopefully do a one-on-one coaching session if you register for the True Self Project, the 30-day habit challenge, or even in our 8-week course called Thrive in 26. And hope to see you. Email me with any questions. Be well and have a very happy, peaceful, and prosperous 2026.